We are joined by our guy, Dr. Jeff Pierce of the Michigan Sports and Spine Center. He's a medical director there. And Dr. Pierce, I got to tell you, I'm not going to say that we caused this, but I'm not going to say that we caused this. What's up with the rash of elbow injuries in Major League Baseball with the pitchers right now? What's going on?
Sorcerer.
What'd you say?
I said you're a sorcerer.
Yeah, we didn't do this, did we? We're not responsible for it. Like, we bring it up, then all of a sudden Steven Strider's down, everybody's down.
You know, you brought up a good point to me before the show. Is it the pitch count? Is it the timing? I want to say these guys should be able to perform in that period of time, but does it play a role? It probably plays a direct and indirect role. You know, you got to evaluate what these guys are doing coming into the season. It's probably just a coincidence. It's just like the only thing I can point to is when we started having a bunch of sports hernias with the Red Wings. You know, we looked at the way they were training. We looked at, did they really do what was flexible? We did all that forward motion, you know, for pitching too. We probably need to look at how they're preparing. You know, I don't want to criticize the medical team, but, you know, what are they doing to prepare? It's all about proactive prevention now. You know, did we cause it? No, I think we brought notice to it, and maybe it's a little bit more common now than it has been, but no, I don't think we have the wizard effect here on that.
Okay, good. I feel better about things than Dr.
Right.
Pierce.
You're not the jinx.
Okay, absolutely. And no, that was going to be my follow-up question too is, and look, you have a seat at the table in terms of, you know, where you sit in the game is going to dictate maybe how you feel about it. If you're a member of the players union, you'll probably feel a little bit differently. That's not a fan of the pitch clock. You'll probably feel a little bit differently. If you're an owner, you'll probably feel a little bit differently. So it's kind of an unfair question to you to kind of parachute you in to that on the medical side.
But you always do that.
I always do that.
I'm good with the challenge.
No, absolutely. But my point about it is, you know, just the mechanics of pitching with the pitch clock. Because anytime we put a clock in our lives, that leads to tenseness, right? Like, I guess you're not – when you're standing up there on the mound and that pitch clock's under 5 seconds and you got runners on bases, and if you don't deliver that pitch in time, it's a ball in a big spot of the game. I would guess that leads to tenseness, which would probably contribute.
I almost want to switch seats with you because you're bringing up very valid points.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
I want to say I'm going to take credit for educating you.
Yes.
To ask me the appropriate
questions
questions at this point. But no, I mean, we talked about relaxation. We've talked about deep breathing. When your body's totally tense and you're like, you do have a guy on first and like, is he going? What's going on? I got 3 seconds left. I got to deliver. Your mechanics are off. They're more tense. You're not as relaxed as if you don't have a pitch clock on you. You're absolutely right that when you have to deliver under pressure, in that scenario, you're clinched a little bit more. Your brain's going a little bit more. You're thinking about 3 different things instead of 2 different things. The player, the batter, and the runner, right? Now you got a pitch count. Now you got, you know, other things in your head. Is this the right pitch? There's multiple things going on, and you do probably run a little bit tension, and are you fully relaxed in your body? But the pitch count's been around already for over, when did we start it? 2 years ago? How long's pitch count been?
The second season. Yeah. This is the second season.
So they should be used to it. They should already have that mental, and now I'm going to argue the other side. They should already have the mental capacity to deal with pitch count because that's the way they're practicing. That's the way they're preparing. So when I argue against myself, it shouldn't be an issue. When you talk about, is it creating tension? Is it creating tightness of the muscles? You're not fully relaxed. You're putting more stress on the elbow and the shoulder to deliver. Yeah, absolutely. There's a combination there. Is that truly the reason? I'm not sure.
Which is the only time Doc is wrong, when he argues with himself.
Which what?
The only time you're ever wrong is when you argue with yourself.
I win once in a while.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm winning 50% of that.
But how do we, you know, when we see all this and stuff like this, and I see in the chat thread people bringing up, you know, the ban on the sticky stuff, the ball maybe being smaller and the tension and the grip. So it's I guess what I'm hearing, is it more preventative? Because that's what you did, like going back in the day, being one of the guys that had the sports hernia surgeries and stuff like this. Our training changed to the core and to everything else, and that's why we would go, you know, to your spot in Troy and stuff like this and get get work done, but would concentrate doing, more core and stuff like this. Is this something that, the Chris Fetters, who's the pitching coach, and then the arm mechanics guy, is this something that we're going to see in the preventative preparation, or is this just something like we're seeing with, right? Oh, he's going to have a Tommy John. He's going to have a Tommy John, and he'll be back. Like, is this the new norm?
No, every time there's a cycle, right? Any type of life. When you start having something common, the educated, mature part of it is take a step back. What are we doing? Let's evaluate it from A to Z. And that's what we did. It was like, ours was a little bit easier, but in hindsight it was easier. But when we were in the middle of it with the sports hernias, it all made sense after. But we had a struggle to figure it out. But within months, we had to figure it out. Same thing with the pitcher. I mean, what is going on? I'm not as involved with the Tigers as I have been with the Red Wings and the Pistons and stuff like that, because it is baseball. But it's a mechanical issue that should be prevented. There's no reason for it. In today's medicine, which I tout our today's medicine is better than ever, there's going to be some changes. There's definitely going to be some changes. There's going to be a different way they're warming up. There may be different dynamic warm-ups. There may be, a heating up, cooling system that they're doing. But, yeah, we will hopefully be able to be more educated and more preventative. That's the simple question.
Isn't it as simple as, like, in the meantime, what's the pitch clock at? Add 3 seconds? Or isn't it? And I know that makes the game.
Yeah, and I don't know what the labor union ramifications are. Was that like a jointly agreed to time?
Yeah, so
because if it was, then you got to jointly agree to change it, and then that's when things get held hostage over future labor. You see what I'm saying, though, D-Mac?
Yeah, no, that's where it gets in the weeds. Why it's not like that's what I said, and I'm glad you gave me that response, because if I'm sitting here going, well, just, back it up a couple of seconds, and you're like, yeah, but no, because this guy needs to be paid, and he's union, and this guy, and this, and then it needs it down the line. So
right.
Not that simple.
Not that simple. It is simple, though, to talk to Dr. Jeff Pierce here of the Michigan Sports and Spine Center. Check out their website, michigansportandspine.com. So, Doc, Giannis went down with the calf strain, and he did that, and look, I'm not saying I'm Giannis Antetokounmpo, all right? I'm not saying that. However, I have done that before on the basketball court in a very similar fashion. I think anyone who's north of 30 has done that in some fashion on a basketball court. How is that? How does something like that happen to Giannis? And I guess how does it happen to me, even though I know that it happens to me? Because, Doc, that is the one thing, playing basketball into my mid-40s now, that is the one thing that grabs me at least once a year. It's always the calf strain, man. How does it happen to a $250 million athlete? The same way?
Well, yeah, the simple same way, because he's got overuse injury. No, what I wanted to really bring up about it, I don't know if we have him going down or anything, but understand he had other issues going on. I always talk about the chain of the connected system, the hip, the knee, the ankle. But what was going on is he had some hamstring issues going on that he was fighting through because his team wanted to stay in the second seed. So he played where maybe if they had the second seed locked up, he probably wouldn't have played. So it's that mechanics of compensation in his case. In your case, we'll talk about that after.
All right, okay.
But this is a little bit different. And I wanted to point out that they were all running to the Achilles, the tendon, and the MRI showed that it was completely normal. But there are other ligaments, and they said something like, I was watching ESPN Sports Center today. What's tendinosis and what's this tendonitis? And it was funny because it'd be like, okay, they go, we don't have a doctor on, but we're going to ask a football player because they know everything.
Right.
So that, we don't have a football player here, but we got Darren who's got pretty much everything. But to answer the question, it was his mechanics had altered, right? So is he playing off his calf and his ankle more to take less pressure subconsciously off of his hamstring? Because he obviously had a hamstring hip injury prior that he was fighting through that was annoying, and then he goes and injures his calf. So, number one, he didn't have a tear. Number two, there's another muscle there called the soleus muscle, which is a long tendon, basically, that does nothing. That sometimes people will get, and they think it's an Achilles tendon injury, where you feel like you get shot in the back of your calf. So that's a tendon that's there that we've proven kind of useless, and we're like, oh, it tears, we don't really do anything about it, you're going to live fine without it. The Achilles also has a lot of tendons going right to the heel of your foot all the way back up, to create the gastroc muscles. So what's going on is that tendon, he's inflamed, probably because of he's compensated, and then he tweaked it, and fortunately it's not torn. He probably will sit out until playoffs now, and that's, it's a common thing. But the point I wanted to make is that we do compensate. So, like, if you have back pain, like I had someone, argue that they created back pain off of an auto accident, which led to the hip surgery. So it's all, my best analogy is the car will still get down the road on those 4 tires, but if one's out of alignment, you're wearing that tire a lot differently. So for the viewers and the listeners and whoever, you gotta be balanced. Everything's gotta be in tune. If your big toe on your left foot is off and you're walking awkwardly for 2 months because you're too stubborn to go see someone, that's going to throw off all the mechanics all the way up. Getting back to your case, and I know I'm talking along here.
No, that's all right.
But basically, you're right. You hit on it. It's weekend warrior stuff. I didn't warm up. I think I'm still, mentally in my head, I'm still a great player. My body's not following the lead, and I'm not respecting it enough. You got to do the warm-up. The calf muscles. The ankle and foot is probably the most underutilized, disrespected part of our body.
I would agree.
Right? So if your ankles are weak, you're trying to do things, you're trying to elevate, you're trying to do a quick step around somebody or get to the ball quicker, that kind of sets it off into what's going on in your gastroc. So it's not, some people think it's the knee going down, it's more the ankle going up. So that's what you want to kind of look at. And stretching. The Achilles just naturally become tight, right? So your gastroc, your Achilles, like you can't bring your toes up like you used to when you were, 18 years old. Where now it's a little, I'm doing it on TV now, But basically your Achilles is back here, and now I can see it. And you want to stretch that, and you want to actually rub on your Achilles. You want to do it all the time. Like if we just went to old people's basketball, that 30 and over crowd, and said, we're just going to do
30 and over is old
40
people?
and over now.
Oh.
So if we just went there, which would be a great thing, maybe we'll do that as a show, and we'll just measure everybody's flexibility in their Achilles and kind of measure and say, you're at risk, you might be still at risk. But I guarantee you I'll find very few that are in a normal range of motion for that.
In the chat, E. Schaefer says, evidence-based treatment and prevention are so important. I haven't seen Dr. Pierce in a long time, with a couple of exclamation points. So he's happy about that. He's
there
happy about that.
Thanks for the shout out.
Yeah, one of your past clients jumping in the chat as well. Well, Dr. Pierce, as always, we certainly do appreciate the time, and sports has been pretty good to us and letting us, all these injuries and stuff like that we can talk about.
Providing too much.
Too much content, I guess you could say.
We got to do a shout out on my weekend.
Yes.
I was at the Kid Rock Jason Aldean First Festival in Gonzales, Louisiana.
Okay.
Mac usually goes to the Kid Rock concert, so we'll get you out to one of the new festivals. But it was a brand new festival, rocked the country. It was crazy. So I landed in New Orleans, hung out in New Orleans, headed out to Gonzales, which I feel is in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Turns out it's 20 minutes from Baton Rouge and 45 minutes from Louisiana. He had about 25,000 people just rocking it out. And, I'm not going to get patriotic or political right now, but it was great to see the patriotic feel of it all. God bless America, and let's, waving the flag and cheering, what America's about. The veterans were well respected there. I mean, it was good to feel like I'm in wherever I was. They call the Midwest. Never really spent time in the middle of Louisiana, but there's people out there that still respect this country, and it was good to see. And Kid Rock, you love him or you hate him type of thing, but he's still trying to make a point, which I think should be well taken, well understood. And then I think it was a great event. Then I went to the Live tournament in Miami the next day.
Oh, really?
Yep.
How was
Walked
that?
around with
How was that?
It was. I understand what they're doing now. I mean, there wasn't as many people like. Compared to the Rocket Mortgage, which I've done multiple times, and then the Masters a couple times, there's just a different vibe there. This was like a laid-back party vibe.
Yeah, they have DJs on the course and stuff like that.
It's fun. Trump was actually there the whole time.
That's at his course, yeah.
Yeah, it was Trump Doral. And I don't know. It was fun. Would I do it again? I would maybe wouldn't rush to do it again. But if you get into that, like, the party part.
Into
you know,
the
where
world.
you're- Huh?
Into that world.
Yeah,
of the
that world
weekend.
inside. I was just walking around. I just wanted to, I had a couple hours before some meetings, so I wanted to feel it. But it was cool. I mean, you know, I got to say Phil looks healthier than ever. You know, Brooks, he put one over the green. I had a chip up. But on 18, he flies one out way to the right. He's behind all these pine trees. I don't know how he got it through. Got it through, put it on the
They're
left side.
incredible, man.
Yeah.
They're absolutely incredible.
He puts it to the left side of the green, chips up, saves par. You know, like you're literally, you got a pine tree sitting 10 feet in front of you. And
Doesn't matter. They don't see it.
swings around it.
Absolutely. Well, Dr. Pierce, appreciate the time as always, my friend.
All
Thank
right,
you.
take care,
Talk
guys.
to you again next week.